Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is Unreadable update number two. It's kind of, this is kind of odd. It's kind of late, and our update number one was sort of late being released, and that's in part because of obviously some changes that you guys have seen us go through. So, because we're no longer with Plotter, we've had to shift some things, but we haven't stopped. In fact, for me, writing as this book has really like reignited my passion for writing and writing with other writers and telling stories. It's been super, super fun. And it's been a great escape at times into what I really want to do. So it's been really fantastic. So we are late with update number two. We know that, and we're sorry, but we're going to bring you up to speed really quick. So, CJ, how about we start with what? Well, so we ended with chapter four. We told you guys what was happening with that, and that we had written some more background scenes, and we actually, like, I have one more that I want to write still, maybe two. So, tell people kind of where we're at and what some things that we've decided that weren't necessarily evident last time we updated.
Right. Right. So we ended at chapter 4. We got into chapter 5 and it was supposed to be from Miles' perspective. And I read through what Troy had written and I realized we had missed a beat. We had missed some really crucial transitional moments where, you know, Harper is thinking that this is the guy who made her life miserable over a year ago with death threats and things like that. So for him to come on the scene, there really needed to be a more visceral response than just hatred. There needed to be a lot of fear because she hates this guy. And, this whole slow burn enemies to lovers with all of this romantic suspense involved, that's crucial to the storyline, but it's a subtle part of it. Right now, we have to get from terrified of this person who she thought was trying to kill her and who she thought killed her informant to, thinking to herself, okay, maybe, first of all, why is he here? Accusing him, being around witnesses. There needed to be a little bit more from her perspective in chapter 5 before we then switched over to Westbrook's. And so we laid that groundwork after Troy had written chapter 5. I just went back through and I was like, I'm missing some stuff. I need to add this in here. So we put that in there. And what it does is it creates an interesting romance beat that's more part of the subplot, in all honesty, but it is that moment of meet cute, but in a different way. And so they have been entwined, they've been in each other's lives almost all of their lives, but more on the periphery. Her just really hating him and what he represents, and him just always seeing her and being really impressed with her bravery. But none of it has really come together. And now we have this moment where some things can lock into place and there can be a little bit of understanding, but they've each got their own agendas, and that's really important. So it's an important beat within the romance subplot. That's the slow burn. And I think it was necessary to put it in there. So that's what we did moving forward. And then Troy went through again and added his own things. Neither one of us like Google Docs, but it's necessary in order to be able to
It's
do all of
necessary
this.
right now to do
Yes,
this right
for
now
now. Yeah,
without
exactly.
63 versions of something floating around. This is absolutely necessary. And so, anyway, but the beauty of that was that because CJ wrote that perspective, that gave me new insights on what Miles' perspective would be and how he would see her. And so, what we're able to do, it actually is like it's an enemies to lovers meet cute. They are not fans of each other. His part of his motive is to get her whatever it is that she wants and get her out of here. Because partially because he does care about her and he sees that she's in danger and he doesn't want her to become a victim of his family. He knows that his sister and his dad are into all this horrible stuff and he doesn't want her to become a victim. So he's like, how quickly can I get her out of the picture? But he's like, oh, by the way, she's really hot and I kind of like her, but I want to get her out of here. So it's a conflicting motive on her part. She hates him, but she starts to see like some cracks in that armor and be like, oh, maybe I don't, maybe this is not, he's not the problem. Maybe he's not the entire problem, you know? So anyway, so we've shifted we've made some perspective shifts, just like we did with chapter two and three, where they ended up both being from Miles' point of view because that's what needed to happen. That's how it worked. So while our original plan was kind of alternating chapters, we've kind of changed that plan as well. So and we've added this new character that like I really like. He's just like such a dorky little creature. Anyway, so it's super fun.
Yeah, Mikey. So my nephew is Jeffy Mikey, and so that's where I got that name from. But we've shortened it to Mikey, and that's the way I picture this kid. Although my nephew is now like almost 6 feet tall, but this kid who's driving them around is really Short Round from Indiana Jones. This is the character that he's going to be the sidekick, plucky comic relief, and he's just managed to seamlessly make his way in here, and we've found ways in which he works so well. So, Troy, in that moment when I was writing the next scene where they were looking at the video footage, trying to determine what happened the night before, the fact when she was coming back to her hotel room, I was sitting there thinking to myself, what are the clues we need? What are the red herrings? Where do they go from here? The video footage needs to give them something. And so when I was like, well, if she gets into the hotel, how? She couldn't remember anything. She was blackout drunk. It's like, who helped her? And I was like, Mikey. And wouldn't that be freaking
Oh,
hilarious? He's like this tall and she's completely drunk and he's trying to drag her into the hotel room and then doesn't leave till 9 a.m. So there was just a lot of hilarity in that moment, but also another way to move us forward and help us with, what comes next in their search for figuring out how she got this tattoo and the meaning and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. And then Troy took that and ran with it as they, called him again. So Mikey's the Uber driver who shouldn't be street legal and can't drive to save his life. And so getting that from Miles' perspective, that was a fun chapter for me to read. Do you want
mhm.
to talk about that, Troy, the way that you
Well,
latched onto Mikey
yeah,
and
because first of all, I love bringing Mikey in there. I love the fact that he dragged her to the hotel room because it also gives us another moment for Miles Westbrook to show that he is jealous because he's like, what? He spent the night with her, this Uber driver. She doesn't remember anything, and she's thinking, I don't know what happened in that hotel room, but he didn't leave till 9 a.m. And he's zipping up his pants and stuff as he leaves the hotel room, which I thought was a beautiful touch to have on the. And it really is because he's just this awkward guy who's like, dang, I fell asleep and he's got to get out of there. And he's like, oh man, I feel stupid. I can't have her wake up and have me here, and stuff like that. So he's trying to exit as quickly as possible. But that's not how it looks to Miles. And so we go, okay, so he's kind of thankful Mikey was there because he thinks, hey, that him being there might have saved her life. But he's also like, but what in the world is she thinking? I mean, how terrible is this? And there's clues about that this is not a normal drunk state. And I love that because of the other things that we've set up here is it for the way the story is going to move forward is I love the setup of this is not a normal drunk night. I usually don't forget everything. I usually don't delete photos from my phone. There's things that are abnormal. And we've got suspicions that we're planning about who did that and all that kind of stuff. But some of that's red herring, some of it's real. So, I just love the way that's coming together already as we write so that we're probably there. We might still have to go back and plant some ideas and clues later once we figure out exactly the resolution. But the plot is evolving rapidly as we write. And so it's kind of cool to see this. Some of it we need to go back and like rearrange in Plotter and the software so that I went and rearranged part of it, but we probably need to do some more where we went it back and we need to add some character descriptions and, some other things like that and see how these little changes we've made in the plot, how that changes everything else that we planned out moving forward. But we kind of wanted to showcase this as part of our process, is that what we planned isn't necessarily what we do with every chapter. Like when you start into the writing, you realize I need this. This needs to, in order for this to work with these characters, this has to happen. And as we get to know the characters better, then we go, oh, okay, this is the direction that this needs to go. So it's been fabulous. And CJ coming behind me, I come behind her and kind of edit her stuff a little bit and like try to insert some things. She does the same thing behind me. And it's beautiful because we get Harper's voice, we get Miles' voice, and we get them more accurately. We get a lot more stuff from Mikey, who I'm just, like I said, I'm just really loving this little character that we've inserted here. We're getting stuff from Evil Rianne, his sister, and I love how it's all coming together and how we're able to blend our writing styles so easily. It's just been really a blast.
Yeah, we have had a lot of fun. And what's really cool is occasionally it's like, what if? Because Troy and I are always looking at logic. Are we doing something just to do it because we thought it was a fun idea? Does it make sense? So is there logic to certain plot points or certain motivations or intentions? And so if there isn't, then we're looking at it again, evaluating and throwing out other ideas that will either make it so, or do we just have to throw that out and try again? And so that's been fun too, because when you're working with two brains, you've got twice the brain power, which I sorely need, if I'm being honest. I may never write alone again. I'm just saying. There's been some smooth sailing here. But all of the pre-writing that we've done has been helpful. And we need to do that with a few other characters, like Troy said. We need to do some of that with Mikey now that he's more of an established character here, probably with Rianne, because she's definitely the villain in some form. And so we have a little more pre-writing and backstory to add to this that I think is then going to probably give us some ideas for other things in the future. But this has been fun stuff, having
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
And we didn't even need tequila to have
I
fun.
know.
I'm not opposed to it, but how
Not
nice.
opposed to it, but we don't necessarily need it. Yeah, that's the thing. No, but and like I say, this has been a great experience. First of all, to get back into my own writing groove, which I neglected for a while due to other obligations, which is not the way I'm going to do things anymore. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But also just the fact of like exactly like you're saying, we're bouncing ideas off each other, and we're both story logic people. And we're both, to a certain extent, story science people. So this is like a lab experiment that we're putting the ingredients in to make sure that it'll work. Or, I mean, maybe you want to say a chef instead of a lab experiment. I don't know.
No, I
Anyway,
like it. I like that
whatever.
analogy.
But
Either one
yeah,
is fine with me, but I'm a terrible cook, so
yeah,
um,
yeah, we're just,
brownies,
except for brownies, yeah. But
brownies.
anyway, we're just making the whole thing work. So what we'll do is we'll come back next week and update you guys about changes we may have made along the way, how things are going, whether we're meeting our goals. So far, we're on track meeting our word count and chapter goals per week. We may even be slightly ahead, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure precisely. But but we'll see where we end up next week. So we'll come back and update you like next week, let you know how things are going, where we're at with this book and with other stuff that we're doing, and it'll all be fantastic. Maybe
Mhm.
we'll have brownies.
I certainly will. Would you like me to mail some to you?
I think I'm good.
I'm not sure how
I'm
they'll be
good.
once they get there, but
I
it's like
think
a
I'm good. We'll wait till it's,
breathe here,
I know, we'll wait till it's winter time when they're not going to bake extra. You'd have to send them partially raw, let them
right?
bake the rest
Yeah.
of the
By
way
the
along
time
the
they get
way.
there, they'll be
They'd
well
be,
done.
it'd be well done. Anyway, I'm retreating to the mountains this weekend. I'm going to go up where it's cool and do some
Lucky.
writing while I'm there. But
Nice.
anyway,
Nice.
all
All right.
right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next week, if not before.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.